All right, everybody, Rob Ferretti here with a box with a penis pump in it, right? Why does Rob have a penis pump in a box? Well, because I am sponsored by Bathmate, and if you guys haven't tried it out, you would be the only one so far, because they're back, because I did an ad for Bathmate last month, and guess what? You guys were curious, right? Some of the guys are like, let me give them a shot. Like, guy on the internet told me to try it out. It's the only push I needed, because everybody wants the results, right? Everybody wants a bigger, like better performing penis, and this is the way to get it. So the guys that did try it out, and the comment, I love the comments. When they're like, yeah, we want to do another one that was great, I was like, can I just read the comments from the last video? And because it was new, right? It's a new product. It was like, Rob said penis. So it was cool. But now, since you bought it and they're happy, everybody's doing their job. And some people, the penis is doing a better job because they picked it up. So you want to work yours out and make sure you're performing better in the bedroom. You're having a great time. You're more confident. There's a bunch of good things coming in life when you're walking around like Pete Davidson, right? You know, the goal is Pete Davidson. You're here, he's here. You want to get as close to Pete Davidson without going over, because that's that big, the dude with the flashlight. They make the light switch with the big guy with the elephant. Yeah, you don't want, that's a little too far. You don't want to go that far. But to try them out, check them out. It's Bathmate. You check the link in the description. It's going to bring you right over there. You could test them out for yourself, because guy on the internet said, and other guys follow guy on the internet already, and they're happy, and the brand is happy, and everybody's happy. So we can all be happier together once you give them a shot. Click the link in the description. Thank Bathmate for sponsoring today's video. All right, everybody, Rob Ferretti, and you've heard me talk about Turo before, right? It's a car sharing platform. It's not a rental platform. And a lot of people, I do consulting, a lot of people come to me and they're looking to move off of Turo and become an actual rental company. Very different, right? How does Turo make money? Is Turo right for you? Or do you want to have a rental company? Very different options. Like if you're running a rental company, that's a business. So much more involved. Turo makes renting vehicles easy, because Turo takes care of the customers. The customers are a very difficult part. They also take care of the insurance. They also take care of the platform that you have. So you really only have to sort of provide the car and then get your car back and hope that nothing goes wrong. Turo also, competitive marketplace, it's a race to the bottom. You want utilization to be up? You got to rent it for less money. So a lot of people are out there renting cars and saying like, wow, look, I'm making all this money. You're really not. But here's how Turo works if you wanted to do it. If you wanted to use your credit, get a car. And if you wanted to run it as a business, like run a business through Turo, I say get a bunch of cheap cars, right? Cheap cars, 30 bucks a day. Let them go out all the time. If they get stolen, no problem. Turo writes you a check for 5,000 bucks. You go get another cheap car. But if you wanted to get into the higher end cars and say like the Supras and the C8s and everything like that, which seem to do pretty well on there, but they're giving them away for nothing. So how do I charge $650 a day for a C8 convertible, yet I can go on Turo and get a 1LZ C8, which I just did on my Adventure Drives trip out west, for virtually nothing. I think I paid $1,300 for a week with 1,750 miles, right? And I did virtually all of them. All right, and I'm just pointing out, this should never be the case. And it's cheaper for us to drive these cars back and put another 600 miles on them than it is to either ship them, which you can't really do anyway, because again, with Turo, you have to physically return and do your checkout process, or just to do like a one-way rental. So these people are going to be experiencing another 1,800 miles of driving on these cars, all for no money. Doesn't seem very efficient, does it? But anyway, we got 8.5 hours to drive back to San Francisco, but it's a nice drive and we'll have a good time. I put all of these miles on this car, and the net result was like, it was under $1 a mile. And how do you possibly make money? And that person wasn't even making that money, right? Turo was making that money. The agent gets whatever the rate is. They get the $1,100, and then Turo gets everything else. They get their insurance fee and everything else. So how is that person putting 2,000 miles on a C8? Can't be making any money at $1,000, can they? And the answer is, if you're looking to just get a free asset and all you're doing is making sure you have no out of pocket, you're going to rent that car like she did for 130 bucks a day, 150 bucks a day, whatever it is, which is nothing, well below market value for an actual rental company. But you're only concerned about making your payment and then ultimately paying that vehicle off. You're not spending that money. You're not using that money towards general overhead. Your money's not going to commercial insurance. The money's not going to staffing. It's not going to warehousing. You don't have any of these expenses. Your only expenses, I have taken a car payment. I am knowingly probably in violation of my agreement with the bank, and I'm now renting the car out, but I'm making my payment so the bank will leave me alone. And I have insurance, but I'm not, when I drive it or if I drive it or whatever the situation is. But at the end of the day, all I'm concerned about is that car going in and out, and maybe I have a little bit of labor cleaning it, washing it, or doing anything like that. But that car is going in and out. I don't have to touch it. And after 2 or 3 years of renting it, it may generate enough that I never have to take money out of pocket. Like it'll maybe build up a little bit of a nest egg so that even if it's down for a month or two, I don't have to come out of pocket. I haven't wasted the money. I haven't put myself in a situation. I'm just trying to get a free car. And if you do it that way, if you operate Turo, same thing with the Supra. I could have gotten a Supra for adventure drives for like $800 to put almost 2,000 miles on somebody's new MK5 Supra. And that is not a business by any stretch. You can't pay a salary. You can't pay employees. You don't do anything with that. So it's one of those things that if you wanted to just get the free car and then whatever the free car is worth, like look, it's a G-Wagon, right? If you rent this G-Wagon out for $100 a day until the G-Wagon is paid off and it's got 90,000 miles on it and it's got 3 accidents and whatever, but you have the G-Wagon for free, you could still get $45,000 out of it or whatever it ends up being worth at the end of that time period. So that's one way of doing it, but don't mistake that for a business, right? That's just a way to get a free car, which you'd have to do that a couple of times because then you take that 45 grand, bank it into something else and try to turn that paperclip into a house. That's one opportunity. But I've explained in other videos how there's risks involved with Turo where if you're using it for cash flow, if you're using it to take money out of it, if you're not that lowest person to keep the utilization up, which utilization means the amount of days that the car goes out of the month, to keep that up so you're generating enough cash flow to make sure your payments are covered, you never have to come out of pocket after you set it and forget it, then you could honestly make out with a free car, but it's going to be an all beat up car with 60,000 miles on it, which some people, if you're just looking to get into it and all you had was credit, that's not a bad deal, right? Look, I get myself a C8 Corvette with 60,000 miles on it for free. Doesn't sound like a bad deal. So that's where Turo works. It doesn't really work as a business. It's very different from the rental business. A lot of people decide that, right? Like, oh yeah, I thought it was cool, and then I start getting the quotes for the insurance. Now I'm looking at $40,000 a month in overhead. And $40,000 a month in overhead, that's a lot of checks to write. And now you're like, well, where do I get the customers? What do you mean where you get the customers? Like, where's your market? Like, how do you get customers now? Well, Turo, just they find me through Turo. You don't have a Turo. So now you need a website and you need a competitive advantage. You need people to be looking for you, or you need marketing, and all of that stuff costs money. And that's the difference between Turo and a rental company. And then obviously I've told you in other videos, the fact that Turo is not afforded with the same protections on the consumer end, that your car insurance won't cover a rental on Turo in most cases, and nor will your credit card insurance. So you're really locked in and tied to Turo. But if you just hug the Turo tree and don't try to do anything outside of Turo and just say like, this is where I'm going to live, and you're cool not committing insurance fraud or doing anything like that, it could work out in your favor where you get a free, effectively a free, there is effort involved, but you get a free sports car, luxury car by leveraging your credit. So again, depreciating asset, lots of miles on it, lots of wear and tear. But you can play your cards right, and if all things go according to plan, it may work out in your favor. So if you want to learn how to do Turo, that's really the only way I see doing Turo. Doing Turo as a business, or trying to like take a Turo business and turn it into an actual brick and mortar or standalone rental business, they don't really overlap too much. And you can't charge $130 a day in an exotic car rental company or a luxury service for a $100,000 car or $90,000 car. It doesn't work. It doesn't cover the overhead. It's not worth your time or effort. But you can do that through a platform like Turo, where it's sort of hands off and like somebody's checking in and checking out the car themselves. You're not doing anything. Like, you don't even have to show up. The Corvette that I got was in somebody's parking garage at their apartment. Guy comes out, he's like, hey, you live here? I'm like, no, I rented this vehicle that just happens to be parked in guest parking. Oh, okay, whatever. Like that's the experience. Very different. I have to go to the car. I got to check in the car. I got to check out the car. I got to do everything myself, but the car is owned by somebody else. So the only time you may be screwed, possibly, is if the car is stolen or something like that. And who knows how that plays out with the Turo thing, or the customer doesn't have insurance, like the guy who smashed his windows in, right? If that guy doesn't have insurance or Turo doesn't cover it, now that guy smashed his own windows and he can't do anything. Or people are left holding the bag. Turo's job is not to provide everyone with guaranteed money. I mean, they make it seem that way by having the insurance, but if somebody doesn't take the insurance and then something happens, what are you going to do? It's effectively between you and that guy. Or you're committing insurance fraud on your own because you don't have any insurance through Turo to cover you if the customer doesn't take insurance and then they do something, because you still lent the guy the car. A lot of risk, but there is potentially a reward, but that's up to you whether you're willing to do it. Rob Ferretti, there's a difference between Turo and a rental company, and how you can effectively get a free car if you play your cards right and keep your utilization up on Turo.